Yeah, I did smash burgers. I just didn't realize that it was.
At the best smash burger ever at CSDA conference in right? You come from a street brewing company, it's the best smash burger I've ever had. It's like 2 blocks out from the convention center, and I was so down. The street brewing company.
Check that out.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, if you're ever in Monterey, the convention center, it's like literally a block and a half, 2 blocks up. Right hand side. What made it? I was just like, it was nice and crisp, and like it was, so like it was a nice crisp patty. They had some like crispiness on the cheese, and like it was just like not overly greasy. It was just really good. The bun and everything was like, the ratio was perfect on everything. I was like, literally, I'm like, this is the best smash burger I've ever had.
Firestone really, but.
One second.
Like to call to order?
I just need to start recording, so now you can go.
Oh, you're recording now?
Yep.
Okay, I would like to call to order the Pleasant Hill Recreation and Park District Board of Directors regular meeting, September 11, 2025 at 7 p.m. And look around the table and all 5 board members are here tonight. Thank you. If you can, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go on to agenda item 3, public comment. This item on the agenda provides an opportunity for members of the public to comment on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board that is not on the agenda. There will be opportunity for the public to comment on other agenda items at the time they are discussed. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Well, do you have any commentary tonight?
Do not have any comments.
All right, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and close agenda item 3, move to agenda item 4. 4.1 is report regarding adult and senior services programs by senior services staff members Holly Briggs, program manager, and senior services coordinators Michael Manalastas.
Manalastas.
Okay, well, sorry about that. And Karen, we can come on down, please. Thank you.
Michael Jordan, pull chair up over there. That is your move forward button. Big one, moves forward.
This way too,
Good evening, everyone. I'm Holly with my program coordinators, Michael and Karen. And first of all, happy Senior Center Month, so National Senior Center Month. And we'll go ahead and get started. So we have 4 full-time staff, 3 of us plus 1 more, Stephanie, who's our admin assistant. And then we have 1 part-time care manager, Dana. And here are some photos of our seniors doing what we do best, traveling, exercising, enjoying some events and our activities. So the importance of senior centers, a little bit there. So currently, there are 58 million Americans that are 65 and older. And then by 2060, there will be nearly 89 million Americans that will be 65 and older. And then by that year, we will add an additional almost 18 or 19 years to our lifespan. 1 in 4 older adults fall each year. So that adds 3 million 65-year-olds that are treated in an emergency room due to falls. And that is also the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries. So regular exercise helps older adults stay independent. But that is also, they only do 23% of their recommended exercise due to the guidelines. And that is 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity a week. And then did you know that 36% of older adults had not visited a dentist in the last year? And that is mostly because oral health is not included in Medicare or Medi-Cal, Medicaid. 1 in 4 older adults experience a behavioral health problem, and that is like depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and suicide rates are the highest for those aged 85 and older, and the rates are probably even higher because autopsies are rarely conducted in older adults.
I moved the thing, I did it.
And to carry on, 7 million seniors are food insecure, and half of those don't participate in SNAP or CalFresh. And that is because of the stigma surrounding it, the myths, with the program, multi-generational households. They don't qualify because someone is already in the program. They have a disability, transportation, technology, are barriers for seniors. So according to the NCOA, the National Council on Aging, senior centers help with presentations for we have educational presentations to help seniors learn so that it delays the onset of chronic disease, whether we bring in somebody to teach the seniors. And then with our senior nutrition program and all our exercise classes and other programs, it helps improve the physical, social, emotional, mental, and economical well-being of our seniors. So our senior advisory board, we have 9 seniors that sit on it. We meet the second Monday and it meets monthly. We discuss and plan our upcoming events and activities. They do the volunteer onboarding. We have over 120 volunteers that help in our senior center. They do organize the new member orientations, and we bring anything else to them that is pertinent within the senior center. Here are some of our community partners that help at the senior center. You'll see the food bank, the senior legal services. They do some of the services that we ourselves cannot do. We bring them into the senior center to provide services for our seniors. Here's the list of some of those. Caregiver support program. County Connection comes in and does senior Clipper cards. iHelp comes in, Diablo Valley Mac Users Group, health insurance counseling and advocacy. October is a huge month because that's when Medicare rolls out their new open enrollment plans. So some of our activities that we have, as you know, bocce ball, seniors have their own league. Card games is a big one. Calming coloring has become big. We've recently just, they went from having it twice a month to every week, and so they have about 20 people to 30 people do that. TED Talks is big. They watch selected TED Talks and then they discuss them together. Our Explorers hiking group goes out into they even go to San Francisco and do some hikes. They carpool and go out there. Weavers came from the library. When the library shut down, they came over to us and they've been with us ever since. Amistad Spanish Resource, it's a Spanish speaking group. So Michael, I'll let you discuss the nutrition program.
All right, so good evening, everybody. I'll give you a quick kind of intro of the Cafe Costa program. Basically, we operate Monday through Friday from 11 to 1, 3 hours a day. We average about 235 meals served on a weekly basis. We not only serve the Pleasant Hill residents, but also our neighboring cities. We have clients that come all over from Concord, Martinez, Walnut Creek, Lafayette, Antioch, even as far as Danville, because we're rated one of the best centers as far as the comfort, the beautiful facility, and the high level of service. It's a place for not only for clients to come in and eat, but it's also a place where we could improve the social connection, improve the quality of life, promote healthy eating, and create a belonging space for anyone and everyone. We're one of 17 hot meal sites throughout the Contra Costa County. Most essential program of the center, since it provides a lot for a lot of low income seniors. We serve a lot of seniors who lost all their family members, lost their husband, wife. They're lonely, need someone to talk to, and need someone to socialize. So that's why it's really key for us to keep this going, year on and year out. We're subsidized by the city of Pleasant Hill and grant from Concord, Pleasant Hill Healthcare District. Some stats for you, for the last fiscal year, we served over nearly 11,000 meals. The previous fiscal year, over 9,000, so we basically beat that goal by almost 1,700 meals. How we operate, we have over 20 volunteers, most of them are seniors. Again, they're looking for something to stay involved, stay busy. They want to belong to something. That's what we want to kind of create for our volunteers, which is always a pleasure because they're kind of like the heart and soul of the senior center. They're kind of like the oil, to our engine. That's how I put it. So moving forward to the travel program, I oversee that department as well. Last fiscal year, we did about 30 trips. We sell out pretty much almost every single trip. I try and do the high demand trips. We try and offer variety, such as theatrical, musicals, educational experiences, ball games, such as Giants. We went to a Niner game one year. Golden State Warriors, and we introduced the Golden State Valkyries game this year as well. So we also try and include the kind of the DEI, focus, kind of expose seniors to different cultures, different educational backgrounds. Like the Warrior game, for example, this past season, I brought them to Latino Heritage Night, kind of expose them to something different, something new to kind of learn about and kind of enjoy. And just to add on to that, we try and do more than 2 trips a month. I want to try and kind of increase the demand for that because there is demand for more trips since the Walnut Creek program has closed. So there's a lot of pressure on me to kind of meet that demand. And we do have a lot of loyal clients who do travel, but not only us, but throughout the Concord Martinez kind of triangle.
Right, so we all do wear different hats at the senior center. We all sort of pitch in together too on a lot of things. So one of the things I'm primarily responsible for is special events. At the senior center, we do have a lot of fun special events. We just had number 4 down there. The end of summer barbecue last Friday was a raging hit. Like we had an hour of East Bay banjo playing, and our seniors were enthralled. They were like so happy. They were singing along. They were doing the conga line in the midst of eating our delicious food. That the 3 staff members you see right here were all food safe manager certified. So we actually cut the food and cook it and prep it and serve it with a great team of volunteers who love to come and help us with our events. So that one was amazing, and we've heard nothing but buzz about it all this week. Coming up in October, we'll have our Oktoberfest. We might have a little beer sampling for that one. Some sauerkraut, hot dogs, for the sausages, for those who, we try and get everybody involved. We try really hard to keep the cost down for our seniors, which is one of the reasons why staff has started taking on the cooking of it, because we can maintain that at a price that our seniors can still afford. In addition to that, we do have some musical concerts. We partner with College Park High School. Clarinet Fusion comes twice a year. I just brought in Diablo Regional Concert Band is going to be doing a performance for us in December. We've got, Holiday Boutique coming up November 15th. That's going to be our local craft vendors. A lot of our seniors actually sell their handcrafted items, and that actually also serves as a fundraiser for our care management program. We will be cooking our own St. Patrick's Day meal next year to try and keep the cost down for our seniors. That will be interesting. Tomorrow, I would strongly encourage any of you that have the time to stop by our open house. It goes from 10 till 1. You will get to meet so many of our volunteers there. All our activities that we do through our seniors, the membership through the club is actually every one of those people is a senior volunteer that runs those activities. They'll be there to meet you, tell you about their group, try and, encourage new people to know what to come in and do when they come to the senior center. In the spring, we do our Age Well vendor fair. You might have remembered it as Laugh, Love, and Learn. We've sort of changed the format of that a little bit, but it's the senior resource service providers who come in so they can share all their information. It's free for our seniors to attend. There's lots of giveaways. We do free presentations at that event. And then I guess one of the things that I think is probably the most important that we do, and as you can see from that picture, we had a speakeasy themed volunteer appreciation party in January for 120 plus volunteers that come in. We had a Frank Sinatra singer. We had a photo booth, and we had a great meal for them from Classic Catering, and they had an amazing time. So many of them got dressed up, and it was super fun. And they get to do all those things that they used to do when they were younger, and they have a place to come where they feel comfortable in an environment like in the daytime with good parking, and it's, you know, they feel safe. Where if something happens, all of us, like I can't tell you how many 911 calls we deal with, so they know if something bad happens to them there, they feel safe. Another thing I'm responsible for is the classes. So it's adults and seniors. So we try and have our classes to suit most levels. I have a variety of exercise classes. We try and keep low cost options for our seniors. Our Flex for Fitness class is barely a little bit over $1 a class. That room is full twice a week. It's a chair-based exercise class. It serves the seniors probably who are more frail, who more need their exercise. But then it'll take you all the way to like AJ's adult dance classes. If you want to learn adult hip hop, he's going to be your guy. So we have some other fun classes like our Filipino folk dance class on an evening, beautiful costumes. They did if anybody's interested in it, I can send you the link. There's a YouTube video of them doing their performance. They're just amazing. If anybody's looked at our Facebook page recently, you probably saw what cardio drumming looks like. It's super awesome. It's like, you know, the yoga balls, you put them in a chair and you have your drumsticks, and you actually, it's like a combination aerobic / drumming / whooping and yelling. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have also like improv. We have some meditation, yoga, some financial planning type classes, belly dance. We're bringing in a new ukulele instructor who's going to start in January. So we're always looking to build onto what we have. Another thing I do is the inclusive recreation dances. So 3 times a year, I'm sure you're probably already familiar, we host that here in Pleasant Hill. It's a dance with a DJ. The music is great. It's like going to your best like wedding with the best like wedding DJ. Everybody's up dancing. There's music from every generation. It's great. The caregivers can come with their people. So this is a dance for people who are 18 and older who have developmental disabilities. And we have a full spectrum of what that looks like. Our DJ is trained in how to deal with them. Staff are trained. I have a team of consistently 8 to 10 volunteers who would not miss that event for the world. And they're all my seniors who are in their 80s who will drive here at night because they want to come and help with this event because it makes their hearts feel so full when you see the like joy on people's faces after they're out there dancing. We do this in conjunction with City of Concord, Martinez, and Walnut Creek. So we do it 3 times a year, but the actual dances are offered monthly. So if anybody's interested, we host again in December. If you want to come by and see what that looks like, I can always use volunteers to help hand the snacks out because that is a whole thing in itself and you'll have to be trained on that. So yeah.
Another aspect that we have at the senior center is our care management program, and that is overseen by Dana. It is subsidized by a community block grant through the county. The Age Well fundraiser is in the spring, usually the first Friday in May, and formerly Laugh Love and Learn, and that is our huge vendor fair. And then we also have our holiday boutique, which is our fall fundraiser. This fall, we are doing some outreach to the senior apartment complexes in the Park and Rec territories here in Pleasant Hill. And then we are rebranding care management to the Aging Support Services to give it a more direct name so people in our community know what exactly that program does. So the challenges that we face at the senior center directly is that we are programming for 3 different generations. So the current seniors, baby boomers, and soon to be seniors. So Generation X turned 60 in 2025. So if you at the senior center only have to be 50 to join. So all three of those generations have very different needs. And so the three of us have to try to figure out what that is. And, you know, baby boomers don't want to come to a senior center, let alone Generation X. So how do we do that? Our classes, 18 years to 100 years. That's a huge gap. But then we also are trying to find, you know, instructors that are including people with disabilities, whether that's visual, you know, hearing, you know, people with developmental disabilities, you know, and not all instructors have that capability. And then higher prices. Food is so expensive, entertainment is so expensive, and we work with a population that's on a fixed income. And that's why we're now cooking things to keep that price down, and it's a lot. Because, you know, that St. Patrick's Day, just having the food and not entertainment at $25. Not everyone's paying that. So when you have Cafe Casa, that's $3. So, and then our senior center has evolved a lot after COVID. We're having a lot of our seniors coming in and asking us for housing and, you know, service questions that we weren't asked these things before COVID, and we have to have these questions like this. And that's like county questions, that's these people, that's this, and they're coming to us, and we're not just recreation anymore. So, you know, we are evolving into more of, they need us for everything. So we're trying to be more of that everything versus just recreation. So.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
you wanted to show this.
We do, we have a lovely video for you.
I did show this.
And I am a member of the senior center and also
Sorry, I'm gonna. What happened?
with
Technology.
myself.
Yeah.
I
I will set it over,
wanted
sorry.
something to do and somewhere to go where I felt comfortable and at ease. So
Go back
somebody,
here.
hi, my name is Ruben Lucero. And I am a member of the senior center and also a volunteer. When I retired, I was at loose ends. I didn't know. I just wanted to find something to do and somewhere to go where I felt comfortable and at ease. So somebody told me about the Pleasantville Senior Center, and we were still at the little house. So I visited it and I really liked it. I loved the staff. I loved the people. They made me feel comfortable, where I just felt at home. And in the interim, I come to the CC Cafe and I become a volunteer, which I love, keeps me busy. And I hear a lot of stories about how important the CC Cafe is to our seniors. It is not only a place where they can have a nutrition meal, but also to come and socialize. And some of them, from me being at the desk when they come in, I hear a lot of stories that this is the only place that they can have a good meal and where everybody treats them well. I love the diversity. And I'll share a little bit of a story once. I answered the phone and it was me. And he was very upset because his caretaker could not bring him to the senior center. Because by the time this finished, I was crying too, as his wife got on and said, our caretaker didn't come and this is the only meal we have and the only place we feel at home and the only place we can socialize, and we have nowhere to take us. I tell you, it was heartrending. And in essence, you know, the senior center, the CC Cafe, has become a river of life, not only for myself, but for the seniors that attend it. I've heard many stories where a lot of them, this is the only good home they have, where they're treated like they're very important and they feel at home. There is no place else like the CC Cafe. Again, it's a river of life for many seniors, myself included.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll open it up to the board for thoughts, questions, comments.
I had a question. I know you do some like educational programming around seniors, and I know there was like the senior legal services that had presented, and I was kind of curious what maybe you've done in regards to threats from people who are like scamming or phishing, you know, for seniors to prevent against those types of things. I know that they're a vulnerable population that people are preying on, and just wanted to know if you've had any sort of those types of educational classes.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a number of them. Michael and Dana are actually doing one at the end of this month. We've also, and that's a virtual, like, with computers and stuff. Cyber one. Yeah. And we've also had the police come in and do one, and Contra Costa Legal Services have done one. We've had a number of them. Yeah. So it is, and we also will meet with seniors. They'll bring them in, bring examples into us and be like, is this one? And we've had one at our front desk that just had a big one, a volunteer at our front desk just had a big one done, $5,000.
And we stopped one at the front desk, because our front desk volunteer picked up the phone in the middle of her shift, and I could overhear her stop to answer questions and giving out like banking information. And she said, well, I got this from my bank, and I'm like, let me look at that. I'm like, hang up, that is not, and I only knew that because our admin assistant had been hit by that same scam just 2 weeks before. So it is ongoing, and we need to be constantly doing that. And that is high on our radar for sure.
Yes.
Just wanna, first of all, thank all the three of you and the rest of the volunteers for everything that you do at the senior center. Alan and I are members. We keep thinking that we're gonna take advantage, and we will, of more of the opportunities. We've been on a few of the trips, which were awesome. We were on the waiting list for the Valkyries, but that was, I wound up having a conflict anyway, but we said, well, we'll just get on the waiting list and see.
Just so you know, he's planning on doing a couple of trips next year.
Yeah, that's what we figured. We figured we would watch it and, you know, be more diligent in looking at what the schedule is as soon as it comes out. So that we can get on that list, because those fill up, I know, very quickly. But it's amazing. We want to go down and have lunch and socialize with people. It's a resource that I'm so glad that we have here in Pleasant Hill. And it does so much good for so many people. And it's something, did you say that Walnut Creeks has gone away there?
Their travel program has gone away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, all right. I know that you pull in people from not just Pleasant Hill, from the surrounding community, so we encourage people to join. We said, you know, the what is it, $20? Yeah.
And free if you're 88 and older.
Not quite, but it's such a resource, and it's funny because you think, oh, well, you know, there's senior people there. I said, well, what do you think you are? You know, you are a senior person, but it's so much fun, and the events will be down there tomorrow. That's a great event. If you haven't been, if you can make it down there, it's very worthwhile. They have all of the people are there explaining the different classes, and it was very impressive. I did that last year. So thank you very much for everything that you do. Thank you.
Yes.
So when we have these presentations, we learn as a board on the breadth of things that the various programs in the district put on. I'm so impressed with the vision that you all have to make this the best senior center in the county. And the reason for that is because of the energy that you have, the vision that you have, the drive that you have to bring more and more things. I mean, the list of activities that you were describing, all of which require there to be instructors, that is awesome amount of work to be able to get people to come, much less get an audience there as well, and keep all of these programs going. So, Michael, the trip program and all the other things that you were involved with that keep the seniors up and out of their homes is great. It's the food program is without parallel, absolutely. But the programs that also that you're responsible for that get people going and looking at things and experiencing things and all of that outside of the walls of the senior center are just so important as well. So anyway, I just wanted to compliment all of you and your volunteers and the staff member that's not here as well. On all of the drive that you bring to this to continue to make this such a wonderful, wonderful overarching program. And I want to, again, as we do with every presentation, encourage you to speak with Michelle if there are things that the board can do to be supportive of some of your dreams. So please don't hesitate. We really would like to be able to be there for you to support all the things that you do for the seniors in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no question. I couldn't say it any better. I mean, I think when we were, in the process of constructing the new senior center 15 years ago, this was what we hoped and so much more that would fill that spot. And, I know at the time when we opened the senior center, we had this, everybody, it was this hot ticket item. And, I know that the challenge was maintaining that energy level throughout, and you all have continued to do that. And so kudos to you and thank you for all the work you do.
Now we need bigger rooms.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Standing at ask questions.
You really refer to the little house. Bobby and I were around the little house was there.
I'll never forget when we did for everybody, when we did we'll call it the demo
Demolition.
party.
I still have my hard hat.
Oh, yeah, I do too. You could take an egg, we actually had letters and, you could take an egg and put it on the front of the building and on the floor and it would roll
into my office.
It's so awesome to see this, and again, I echo what everybody said. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few comments as well too, and thank you Bobby for bringing that up. I have often been thinking of the same thing about placemaking, which is a sort of a social construct popular in architecture about creating community through spaces. Arguments about creating buildings or building things that cost a lot of money. So what are you going to do there? And this is sort of the example of when you create spaces or places for the community, it builds up the community. And so it's the argument of why government does these things, or even the private sector as well, to creating these spaces is very important. And you're a shining example of why it's important to build these spaces, because it just brings the community together. So thank you for doing that. Just want to thank you as well for highlighting two things that are near and dear to my heart. So suicide rates for seniors are very high, as it is for different populations, but particularly for seniors. And September is actually National Suicide Prevention Month, so it's another component of September as well too. And then combating social isolation, especially in the older population, is a very important component. And so hearing about all the different programming that occurs to help combat that essentially is the epidemic is very heartening to hear. So thank you for putting all those together. I'm going to ask the same question I ask all of the presentations. If resources though were not an issue, what is your dream thing? Be it staff, programming, space. What would be your priority if resources were not an issue?
We may all have a different answer, right?
Well, that's okay. It's just sort of nice to hear what.
For me, I would love to see if we could get the cost down for our attendees while still paying our instructors a reasonable amount of money and paying the entertainment we have to bring in. That would be nice. It is hard because we do have to constantly juggle this cost recovery, right? So we're trying to make reasonable amounts for food, and that is a challenge. I would love for more of our cafe patrons to be able to participate in our more expensive programming. We do have scholarship, but only a few people even want to reach out and ask for that. I think it's that same stigma where they don't want to apply or ask. They're very proud people and they've worked hard their whole lives. So I think for me, that would be kind of nice.
No cost, okay.
If it were me, and this would be just take everything, I would hire a chef back and have our Friday lunches back. But it's too hard to have. We've gone through 3 chefs, and for a number of different reasons, we can't get that program off the floor and run. For some reason, they don't wanna work the number of hours we can offer. The food bank doesn't have the program, the shopping program anymore after COVID, and the seniors can't pay the amount that a chef would charge for Friday lunch that Susan did it for.
So staffing for a chef.
I think for me, just our own bus, like a 20-passenger bus that can carry senior to help offset our motor coach bus costs. Like they keep rising year by year.
And a bus driver.
Yep.
Because we're not licensed.
If you do more small, intimate trips, we can offer more. It'll be easier to put that together and, just expand the travel program.
Just tell them how much it costs to rent a bus right now.
Yeah, on average, just to go to San Francisco for about 8 hours, 6 hours, it's about 1,500 plus. Monterey goes up to 2,300 for a 56 passenger. Then my number 2 thing, it's kind of out of my area, but our own gymnasium. It could open up a lot of doors for revenue, programming, staffing, create leagues, create senior leagugues, and for youth, adults, for everybody. It'll kind of put us on the next level in the next 10 to 20 years, maybe more.
Great, thank you. You're the second department to say transportation. The youth department also talked about buses. So that's interesting to hear twice now. And then gymnasium came up a few times, so that's also interesting to hear. And I think the messaging around the things that the community may need, it's also reflected in what you think they need as well too. And one final question, something also near and dear to me, is cross or multi-generational types of programming. What are your thoughts about increasing the types of programming that integrate the 2 age groups? And so it's not only seniors that are growing in numbers, in Pleasant Hill, we have actually bimodal distribution where the older population is about equal to the very young, less than 18-year-old population. So it's actually bimodal here in Pleasant Hill. What can we do to, what kind of programming are you sort of thinking about to maybe try to integrate those 2 populations so we can increase understanding, increase community, really get those 2 groups together?
This summer, we did one that was very successful with the Teen Vibe group, and it was a puzzle mania. And so we broke up and we had a couple seniors with 1 teen, and we had a competition, and that worked out pretty well. And because those puzzle cafes are pretty popular, and so we tried that mode.
I mean, we do work with our like camps in the summer and other things too, because they'll come and help in cafe. The problem we run into during the school year is our seniors like to come to the senior center during the school day. And our young people are in school in the school day, so like College Park, when they come and they'll do their performance for our seniors, are coming at 4:30, so that's not necessarily an ideal time for our seniors, because a lot of them can't drive after dark or are not comfortable being out when there's heavier traffic on the roads. So that's a little bit of a hurdle for us, but we do definitely try and look at ways that we can incorporate that into our programming. It's super important. I feel like Choice in Aging is already doing something like that too. Yeah.
They're preschool.
Yeah, so even some of our day trips, we actually had seniors take their grandchildren on the trip. Sometimes I purposely plan a day trip on a weekend, so there's opportunities to take their daughter, granddaughter, great grandson or daughter. There's a lot of layers to that, but yeah, there are opportunities and I do try to promote that. Anyone and everyone is welcome to attend the trips as long as it's age appropriate.
Excellent. Thank you for thinking about finding a way to really integrate those two groups. I think it helps. Choice Age is sort of a nice model in the sense that you think about when the younger population has an appreciation for the history and the stories of the older population, it creates a type of community, I think, that we often talk about in Fresno. Family friendly, it's a great place to be. And so we want to continue to foster that type of feeling.
We also have, for those of us who have children who are a little bit older, or even like Rory's age, our kids come and help with the inclusive rec dances, which is amazing because Rory was pretty young when he started doing that. It makes him very comfortable around that population.
Yeah.
My older son now is actually working in special ed in the schools, and he used to come and help with the inclusive rec dances. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Questions? I want to thank you so much for doing this presentation. Really appreciate the time you took to doing this. Thank you.
Yes, so you can make there, Liz is next.
All right. Any public comment? Michelle?
No public comment.
We'll go to agenda item 4.2, wrap up report for the 2025 Blues and Brews event held July 18th, 19th. My special event coordinator, Liz Benson. Thank you.
Hi. I'll give you some space, I'll stay here. Just a, I need to share this.
Hello, good evening. I'm Liz Harrison, I'm Special Events Coordinator here at the district. And I'll be talking about our 2025 Blues and Brews. We'll go over kind of the event overview, a little bit of the financials, some successes and challenges, and then save the date for 2026, which will be
Cover shot.
cover shot, right? Cover shot.
Kathleen, all her blue days.
That's wallflower.
As a program, special events are always striving to create wow experiences. So this obviously is one of our signature events, no exception to that. This year, our event theme was Play Loud, Listen Live, and Vibe Local. So really emphasizing bringing community together, enjoying the summer and music and all that the park has for that event. So Friday night is the pre-party, July 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. We had one performer, King Tritones. Our food trucks were there and our community booths, which are business sponsors. They're not our high level sponsors unless they choose to be there, but community booths refers to our entry level sponsorship for businesses. And then, of course, we had single pour beer, seltzer, and wine sales for Friday night. And then Saturday is the main day of the festival, the 19th. We start at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We have 3 different performers, Frankie G and The Conviction, Mighty Mike Shermer, Top Shelf Classics closed us out. On Saturday, we have, again, the food trucks, the community booths, and the single pour sales. But we also bring in our craft vendors and we open up our craft beer garden and the kids zone. So here's some logos. We'd like to thank our sponsors for supporting the event. Our top sponsors, the City of Pleasant Hill, Wise Girl, and Julie McCoy Realtor, who's brought on as our beer garden sponsor for this year. Of course, the foundation, Visit Pleasant Hill, and Rotary Club were also major sponsors for this event, and these the logos at the bottom of the screen, you'll see these are our community booths, the business sponsors that also help support the event. And our participating breweries, we had 17 breweries participate this year. Unfortunately, just learned that 21st Amendment will be closing. But we are happy that we were able to kind of be one of their last events before they close. So it's really lovely to have them in the open air beer garden, which we have kind of a shot of, and the slide coming up. And of course, last but not least, our staff and our volunteers that work so hard to put this event together. All of you lovely people, couldn't do it without all of you. So looking at our financials, so our revenue for the event, this includes our ticket sales, the single pour beer and wine, and sponsorship dollars, and the expenses, you know, all of our performers, the cost of all of the fencing, the barricading, the porta potties, all of the things that we have to bring in, and all the details that go into making a 2-day festival. This year, our sponsorship was a little bit, it took a hit. I think just anecdotally from other local events, this is common. This is something that's sort of happening to other events. So I'm actually, I feel like we landed pretty good. We also didn't get our big sponsor from last year back, BMW, who's contributed $6,000 to the event. So that was kind of a loss for us on that one. But expenses are up a little bit. Feel like it's not quite accurately reflected, but we did have to sort of cut some costs here and there, just being mindful about expenses, but we did see some increases in performance cost, some of the different vendors for fencing and porta potties, things like that, their labor costs, everything has gone up. So it looks small here, but we try our best to offset it. So to our overall financial return was down this year. But looking at our ticket sales, in our craft beer tasting, this is another small loss of revenue. Is our beer garden ticket sales were slightly down from last year, but our single pour was up. If you were at the event, the weather was absolutely lovely. So great beer drinking weather, in my opinion. So kind of making an assumption, of course, but thinking that that really did play a part in our single pour for our Saturday main event. So some successes and challenges for the event. Challenges, we had a new event in the area, the Pleasant Hill Night Market, that actually took place on the Friday of our kickoff, the pre-party event. And just in general, we've had this conversation before about other beer events and other music events. So, you know, that kind of always remains a challenge to distinguish yourself in a sea of events. We did see slow traffic within attendees and just sales for vendors. They commented about their sales and the traffic for Friday in particular. I mentioned some of our vendors and higher expenses, and then the fewer sponsors for the event. But successes, we did create a new beer garden space. So for those of you who've been to the event and are familiar with the event, we've had a tent. And so we completely did away with the tent, moved the area to our picnic tables, which provided seating and has trees and lovely shade, and is actually a larger square footage space. So we got a lot of positive feedback about that new space. We also switched to QR code ticket sales, so all of the beer garden sales only, not our single pours. We still did traditional ticket sales at the ticket booth, but specifically for the garden, we used QR code system, which then gives an easier way to check guests into the garden, because pay for it on your phone, you have your QR code and you check in. And I would also say that the staff is lovely as always and incredible. Just really makes it happen. But we also had some incredible volunteers this year as well. So we're actively working on trying to build up our event volunteer tiers for all of our events. So that was successful for this event. And this is what I think is the fun part, all the photos and the videos from the event. So I don't think this one's a video, is it?
No.
I'll go back and kind of see. So this is a shot of our Saturday night closing band and the crowd getting up to dance for them. This is our Friday night, King Tritone. Sorry, I often am busy running around so I don't get to enjoy this. And here's a video of the crowd for Saturday night. More photos from the event. Here's a shot of the Julie McCoy OPT Really Beer Garden. So we did have some umbrellas and cocktail tables to give more congregating space in that in the beer garden. And there's the photo in the bottom corner is a tap bus, so there are taps on the side of the bus. So, happy people in the beer garden, happy kids in the kids zone playing with our bubbles. And save the date for next year. We've got the 15th Blues and Brews Festival, July 17th and 18th. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, we'll open it up to the board for thoughts, comments, questions. Jump right in.
Well, I just am really, really, really impressed. I think you mentioned the success with, the beer garden and how that was put together. I saw, year after year, those expenses have stayed, pretty much consistent, even though the costs have been going up. So it's just a testament, I think, to the ingenuity involved in terms of how you can do things better, more cost effectively. So, I think it wasn't mentioned, but I sort of appreciated that the kids zone was on Saturday. I think it had been previously like a Friday sort of family oriented type of event as a pre-party. But I kind of liked that it was part of the Saturday event. I mean, the whole thing had really good flow as you come in. There's the beer garden, then you walk past the, vendors and the sponsors in that area. You can head out to the food trucks. And then the kids zone, being near the stage, but just off to the side. I think everything was very well laid out this year. And so I just wanted to say, how much I, kind of appreciated the thought that went into how that was orchestrated. Thank you.
But I told you this before, I had all kinds of comments about the beer garden, and they were all positive. There was, I remember one lady who came up to the information booth area and she said, "Is that the beer garden? That's new?" Or she was very, very happy and she thought it was just a wonderful idea. And just everything was positive. I was there Friday night and Saturday, and it was just a great time. Everybody was having fun. The weather cooperated, so that's always a good thing. But it just, I think, like you said, the flow was really good with the whole event. I did learn that we have somebody in Pleasant Hill who makes hot sauces.
Yes.
And I looked because I'm just about out, so I need to get on that website and call them up and say, can I just come get them? But they're really good.
If you're almost out, they must be good.
Oh, they are, yeah, no, they're really good. But it was just, Blues and Brews is one of my favorite events, and it lived up and exceeded new things, and just the way the whole event worked out, I thought it was great. So thank you again.
Thank you. Todd?
Yeah, so one question I had was, we had talked about in the past about having and I don't know if we did it, the tracking of attendees, and I know at one point we were going through the DEI strategic plan. You mentioned that it was cost prohibitive, it was expensive to use the same, but then I thought there was something else we were gonna use that.
No, we don't currently have any software, and this is really the only event we have large enough to, kind of get those types of statistics, and it was costing us $20,000 annually for that one event, so. So I'm like, I'm not, so we just weren't using it, and so.
I remember, I didn't know what that was, I remember, but I mean, and I don't know if there's other things that we can do, because I think it is, important to always, maintain. That we're hitting those, the point, the people that we wanna, make sure that we have that it is reaching everybody in the community.
And I think it is, and I think if you saw, all those were current photos from this year, right? So, so you kind of saw the diversity of,
Sure.
and the types of, people who were there, from young to old to, all different, origins, and, I think from all parts of our community, so. But we don't, unfortunately, Placer AI is the only one who does that, and they're super expensive. I'm trying to get the city to buy it so we can just tag on to that, so. And get, because it really is more for economic development, and it would actually help them, so I'm trying to get them to buy it, so then we would have that information in the
Yeah, it
future.
would behoove them as well, in the chamber too, I mean, all three groups could go in, but on that, other than that, I thought from the very beginning, from when the marketing started in the spring and the summer. To the event was top notch. I thought you all knocked it out of the park. I thought the event was fantastic. I loved the beer garden. I love, the component, I think for me and most or all was the benefit to this, or what it brings to the community, was that it brings people to our parks. And it brings a different segment of people to the parks, and it allows people, people from out of the area get to come and see Pleasant Hill Park. And that was the thing, what you said, every person that I interacted with from our team, smiling, like happy, like everybody, their energy was felt when you walked, from the minute you walked through the parking lot to the moment you left. And I would say, I mean, arguably, I would argue this was the best one we've had, and so I just wanted to, congratulate you, thank you for the work that you did, fantastic event.
I appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just wanted to say it was really unfortunate that there was that conflicting event going on. And we as a board sat here and supported the use of Chilpin Single Park, to support that event and all, and as it turned out, it boomeranged a bit on you. And so I just regret that for you on behalf of you.
It's okay.
We can look, but it's always been a problem, these conflicts that we have with either inside the boundaries of the city or regionally. But I assume that we're looking at a date for 26 that isn't going to give you that kind of handicap.
Well, I mean, we kind of keep to the same time of the month, just because it works best for staff schedule. But we don't really have much control on what other event planners do, so.
How about the Friday night event though?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's a private event, but the city, I think, this is the first year, and the night market went every other Friday, and so. I'm sure there will be some discussion, because it also conflicted with 4th of July, so. It fell on both of those this year, just because of the way the weeks.
Is it first and third, or?
No, it's every other, so so it's every other, so it's not like a consistent time, so. So that was the that was kind of the issue this year, is I did hit both of those events, so I know
We
those,
should back it out and start.
yeah. Yeah, so I know.
Bye week, yeah.
And I know that the organizer of that event, Sunny, he didn't want to conflict with that. It just is kind of the way, I don't think anyone really looked at the calendar when they decided when to start it and go every other week, so. He doesn't want anything to distract from his event or from the current event, so I think there'll be some conversation about that.
Good.
I knew a couple of people who came by and asked, they said, well, we got, the night market going on as well as
Yeah.
this, and I said, well, night market's every other Friday, just, enjoy Bliss and Fruits and this, and yeah, exactly, one time event, you can do night market, next time is around, so, yeah.
Thank you for putting it together. I really enjoyed both days. I thought it was fantastic what you and your team put together. I actually view it a slightly different way. I think it's a nice problem to have, that there's too much going on in Pleasant Hill. I mean, rather than the opposite problem, like what goes on in Pleasant Hill, right? But the conversation about, what can we do? I actually was one of the people that just went to both, so I spent part of my time with one and part of my time the other. And it was great. And you can actually hear chatter regionally as well too, that wow, Pleasant Hill is a place to go for these types of things, whether it's a one-time large event or sort of recurring events that are happening. I think that's fine. I think as a board, we would encourage, and this is part of our, advice recommendations in the past about not only coordinating with the city, but just coordinating with the chamber or other types of events, just to see what the calendars are like, right? That's one of the things that I think is coming up as a recurring theme. I think it's okay to have multiple events, but I'm pretty sure that everybody wants to ensure that Pleasant Hill as a whole is successful. And so however way you can march out for 2026, I'm sure everybody wants to make sure that everybody's successful. So I definitely encourage that. I already put it in my calendar for 2026. I am really glad that I won't be introducing it. It will be somebody else.
But you did great.
It's not usually my style, but I try to put all my effort into doing that. So thank you for allowing me to do that. I don't know how many more accolades you can get, but this is an exclamation point. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts on the board? No, any public comment? No? Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully I'll see you on Saturday for the World Fusion Festival.
We'll get and close agenda item 4.2, go to agenda item 4.3, report from the general manager.
Great, thank you. I'll keep this brief. You have the written report. I just wanted to highlight a couple things. One, Liz just said the World Fusion Festival is this Saturday here at the Pleasant Hill Park from 10 to 2. They have a great lineup of all different types of performances and dances and music from all over the world. Come out and bring a chair and watch. Chair Tran will be doing the welcome introduction, so we appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone again and doing that for us on the other duties as assigned as chair. So we appreciate that. And then the Bike Fest is on Sunday. It's at the library. Staff will be there, myself and Jen. We are hosting a booth and we are on the passports, which we weren't last year, and we're doing a demonstration on how to be a lock star. So we're teaching kids how to lock their bikes. So how to properly lock their bikes to bike racks. That might be so it should be interesting to watch kids try to use the locks that we're gonna have, but it'll be fun. So we're gonna enjoy that. And then
Be like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
And
and then again, we'll have the kind of obstacle course in the in our park area for the day. So Tom and his staff has been working on that. And then I just wanted to say or just to report out to the board on Tuesday, the Pleasant Hill Planning Commission, the City of Pleasant Hill Planning Commission approved recommending to the full council the zoning amendments as presented by staff, which includes our new rec and park zone as well as an open space zone. And I am very excited about this moving forward. Once we do, it is going to streamline for us and the city future development on our parcels. So this is going to be huge for us at a staff level. So we're very, very, as well as you, you will all be able to make decisions about our parks within the, agreed upon standards that we've come up with the city. And without it, going through another discretionary process in the city. So we're very excited about that. And so I just wanted to say it was the one, I've never seen a meeting in the city with that many people. But they did approve that, and I got lucky and got drawn number one to be public speaker, so I could scoot out. Because I felt it was important to thank the commission and the staff and for all their hard work in getting. It was a big ask to get them to do a park zone for us. Had to remind them they need to be consistent with their general plan, but we got there, so I'm very excited about that. So with that, the city council should be seeing that sometime probably later this fall in October and November for full approval of that. So, but with that, I'll take any questions.
Open it to the board for questions. Come, yes.
No question, but thank you for all that you've done to get us there. It's been a long time coming. Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Other questions or even comments? No, I also want to thank you as well too. That was quite a meeting, and I'm anticipating an equally large meeting for the city council as well too. But thank you for putting all that work into it. Really appreciate it. And to sort of additionally step out of my comfort zone, I will be wearing some sort of traditional garb to do that introduction.
Excellent.
So it's even further out of my comfort zone, but I do have it hanging and ready to go.
I love it.
For Saturday. So if there are photo opportunities of doing that, I will be.
Yeah, I will let Jen, I'm not, should I surprise Jen with that or let her know? So.
Jen's here.
Yeah.
Oh, she's here, she heard it. Oh, I thought you might have scooted out. No, great, Jen here heard it, so there you go.
Yeah, so
That's great. I love that you're dressing for the occasion.
I am just in some traditional outfits, so. My wife and daughter are super excited. More so than I am, but they are excited. All right, well, any comment on the, yes?
No public.
No public comment. All right, we'll close agenda item 4.3, move to agenda item 4.4, introduction of new finance manager, Lisa Clark.
Have a seat, right, Lisa? So it is my pleasure to introduce Lisa Clark as our new finance manager. She started on Monday, and she has just dove right in, and so Lisa most recently worked for the city of Napa. She's worked for a number of other cities. She started as an auditor in her career and kind of moved into finance from the auditing side. So she is very versed in policies and making sure that we have controls and all of those things. So she was able to spend last couple of days with our consultant interim finance manager Josh. His last day was today, and so they passed some things on. But Lisa is literally the first person in the finance role that gets giddy about finance. She's been in my office so many times going, this is so exciting and happy. So I'm pleased to introduce Lisa, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to introduce herself to the board.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I'm very grateful for the very warm welcome that I received. And I'm very excited about hopefully challenging
Creek, so she was
Part, right? All right, we'll go ahead and close agenda item 4.4, move to agenda item 5, the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are considered to be routine by the board of directors and will be enacted by one motion. Go ahead and open it up for a motion and a second. Yes,
I'll move approval of the consent calendar.
have a motion.
I'll second.
And we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right, 5-0, motion carries. Thank you. We'll go ahead and close agenda item 5, move to agenda item 6, action item 6.1, discussion and direction to staff regarding preferred course of action to fund current and future capital improvement projects. Over to you, Michelle.
Yeah, so my staff report will be brief, as is the report that was attached. I've heard from a couple of board members, about, kind of future funding, and the last conversation we had was when John Ison was here, and we talked about potentially incurring some debt, borrowing some money to up to 5 million. At that time, we couldn't reach consensus from the board as to what project that might be, if it would be one large project or multiple projects. So that was tabled. I'm here tonight for the board to have a discussion about whether or not you want, how you might want to fund some of these capital improvement projects that I know we all want to do. I heard about Jim again, but the pool, the park next to the library, we have a number of other things. And so, if it's the desire of the board, to kind of move forward with, either one small project, or, that, is like 5 million, like a low number that we can borrow, then, I'd like you to have that discussion. If you're interested in looking at funding more projects and, giving staff direction that, hey, let's get started on a bond measure. And in doing that, the ramp up to that is a number of months. And so, so I need to know if that's where you would like to go. It's purposely very vague because this really is a discussion for all of you to have. And I know I talked to Chair Tran about this because, like I said, I've heard from a couple of different board members, and he suggested that that the board kind of maybe go through these options that are in the staff report. So, Chair Tran, did you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I thank you for the introduction and sort of the background to all this. And this was a challenging agenda item to sort of put together, and thank you for kind of making it a little bit more vague, because I think the conversation can go in multiple different directions. But reflecting on this past year, as we got to this particular point, because we only have maybe a few months left in this particular year, just one quarter, a lot of things have sort of occurred, a lot of sort of steps moving in this direction on whether we want to think, like we did in the previous year, larger, filling out the master plan, completing that and redoing the bond, or if the bond is not going to happen, we don't feel that it's an appropriate step to take at this time, what are our options to do something smaller? So we've had the committees and the groups sort of discuss that. We've had several meetings toward that, and we've also had lots of presentations about what is currently happening, what our staff believe that the community may need, and what their needs and wishes would be. So there's a lot of data that's been coming at us, and purposely as well too. But I think it's come to a point where we have to decide: are we going to repeat our efforts at a bond again to complete the master plan completely, or do we feel that that's not the proper step? And we sort of focus on a few things that we can do within our own means, like the proposed $5 million loan or debt instrument, and just sort of focus on those sort of smaller projects to get those complete without going for a bond again. And I think this is sort of the fork in the road. And so I think we need to have that discussion to sort of decide, because like Michelle said, either actually option, I think, takes time to put together. But we as a board need to decide to give direction to staff, where are we going? So this is, I think, a nice point in time to really have that discussion. So I'm not quite sure where to start, but if anybody wants to jump in, kind of give that as background. And again, this is kind of a big agenda item, just we can be able to take it in different directions if we need to.
I wanted to put something out, from sort of my observations with, discussions when we had talked previously about taking a loan for, $5 million, would it be for one project or multiple projects? And we didn't seem to come to any sort of consensus on even maybe what that project would be. And so, if we look at going out for funding, be it like a loan or a general obligation bond, I think, maybe even just taking a bit of a step back and making sure we have identify the projects, and have really good resolution on what those would be. Some of the feedback I think that we had received during the Measure S campaign was, oh, you've got a general obligation bond, but there aren't any real commitments. It's, and, we had, listed priorities, but I think that folks were sort of like, what exactly are we gonna get? And I wonder if maybe, a strategy in terms of going out for future it is that this is going to do, for the community, especially if we're gonna have to incur like a loan to do a specific project. I think we need to be very specific about what that project would be, it just, and make sure that we're all aligned on what it is that we want to achieve with the funds that we'd be looking to obtain. So that's why I was thinking before we like start looking at, funding opportunities, that maybe we start also looking at what it is exactly that we are wanting to make sure that we can cover. Is it in just covering the existing infrastructure? Is it building new infrastructure? That's kind of where I sort of wanted to start the conversation a little bit when I thought about this.
And that's how this is, actually, the staff report is formulated.
Mhm.
And sort of how I was thinking is that there hasn't been a decision on what, right? So if it was like, we just want to do ballpark, then, okay, what are options for ballpark? Well, there's a loan instrument, we could do a skinny bond, a small one. We just divert our operating, and so there's like lots of, if that's sort of our thought process, the what, is like, if that's what it is, then we can sort of funnel our efforts to that. The thought process is, we want to do the ballpark, the aquatic park, Winslow Center, the schoolhouse, the entire master plan. Then the discussion would be, well, we can't do it with a loan, we can't do it with, diverting, it has to be a general obligation bond, right? And so I agree, and that's why it was formulated that way. We haven't decided on the what yet.
Yeah.
And so, until we decide on the what, I think the staff can't really help us to get to the how, right? And so.
So, I this thing was just like a, bleh, where do we go? I mean, you choose your own adventure on this.
Yeah.
What's your adventure?
Which I can completely understand and appreciate from a board of directors perspective. They're keeping it as vague as possible, opens up a swath of opportunities for conversation. It's also very challenging. I think where I fell is it's challenging to kind of, because I don't know that I viewed the conversation the last time a little different, and I think I'm picking up on that. But I think I did have a couple of questions to get us started. I was struggling in the staff report with, it seemed like there was a 1 and a 2. And then when you presented it, you went 2 and 1. And so, and for just to clarify that, the way it was pitched out in the staff report, it started with, if the option is to go with one or a few projects, then we go this route. If the option is to go with many projects, we go this route. When you presented it the other way around. You said if the goal is to, continue to try to meet, the master plan, or at least the majority of those, then this is that option. And if that's not the direction, then we go here. And so I guess I had 2 questions out of that. One, I think it would be good to get your perspective on what you see as, as 2 the priority or as 1 the priority. And then secondarily, or maybe first, I'd really like to hear, and I don't know if you're willing to put yourself out there, but from the general manager, what, if there is any recommendation or thoughts, or even if you're splitting it, if you're torn, just to kind of get an idea, where you're at with this, what you would recommend from somebody that's going to have to deal with the financial impact of this and the planning of this and whatever direction we go. If that would be through the chair, of course, if that would.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a particular answer for, but that's why I think we need to have that discussion. And it can be framed in many different ways, 1 or 2 or 2 or 1, or the what component of that.
I think, and if I might, I'm struggling with how to go forward on this, because if we go one direction, I've got thoughts on this. If we go the other direction, I've got thoughts on this, and they're pretty much, they might be exclusive. to one another. And so, without, getting into a long discussion about one or the other, when, there may be general support for one direction or the other, I'm curious on that. Because last time we just had the conversation about if we borrowed $5 million. This is now having like a conversation on a larger scale too.
Well, I don't know if I see it necessarily that way, and I think I have the same perspective that whatever path is sort of chosen at this fourth, there's a lot of sort of things that may go along with that, sort of a cascade of different thoughts and discussions in and around that. But I sort of see that this is the fourth. Yeah, we haven't been able to give enough direction to staff to sort of figure out what next steps we need to take. I mean, well, so I guess I'll flip the question back to you. So what are you sort of thinking is the fourth or this major decision that needs to be made to get to the two cascades that we have to talk about?
Well, I think that my opinion was that the conversation for the $5 million in borrowing was one direction. Completely different to that is number two, which is if we, going out for another bond measure.
Which is a different board meeting that we had, basically the discussion, what would next steps be if you wanted to go out or, so we've had meetings or board meetings about both.
Okay, well, I'd be curious if anybody else has any other questions at this point.
I also-
Maybe if there is a recommendation.
Oh, yeah,
from
maybe
the general manager.
I don't know, we don't want to put you on the spot, it wasn't a recommendation here, but.
Well, I mean, I'll do whatever pleases the board. Obviously, but and neither option is, I'm going, woo, let's do that. So, I mean, because there's challenges with both, right? Doing one significant project, I think if we do that, it has to be one project. I don't think, I do not want to get us into debt to do a non-signature project. And so it's a big burden on the general fund on an ongoing basis, and it's going to limit programs and things that we can do in the future. So borrowing money to do little projects that isn't going to be it'll be impactful, don't get me wrong, but that I can't point to and say we got this for that money, because it's going to stress our general fund, and that's just getting worse as we go. And so borrowing money is difficult. It's not my favorite option. I would prefer even though we've been not successful, we've been so close twice. Kind of the third time's the charm is where I'm at. Let's go down the road of, let's trying to figure out how we can get a successful bond, whether that's, specific projects, less money, but in order for me to go start figuring that out, I need that direction from the board, because it's not something that's in our budget, right? And so all of you need to. So if you had to ask, if you said, hey, what would be your preference? My preference would be, let's go explore another bond option, because we looked at a person.
that? I mean, do you have a preference on the what's?
You mean the projects?
Yeah,
Um,
as a general manager, you say you're sort of looking at, and then now we're here, we've heard a lot of sort of wishes and wants from a number of different departments in terms of needs, and then sort of from your perspective as a general manager, are there
I mean,
recommendation on the what?
I think our highest priority project, or my highest priority projects, is to get the park built by the library. To do something with the Winslow Center site, so gymnasium or whatever we end up deciding there. And then to also which is a difficult thing to bring into a bond, is the schoolhouse. Like, I would like this to be our last bond, right? So to deal with kind of our two albatrosses would be fantastic. And so so that would be